What? But you gotta have to repeat. What was that last part?
Yeah, so if I say
Oh,
P, not P, therefore P, do you think there's some contradiction in this? Or there's
P,
some,
not
obviously
P.
fallacious thing in here?
Not. Bro, you're gonna have to explain that again. So in just simpler terms, so we have P and then we have
Holy shit.
not P. What?
It's P then P,
But
bro.
look, it's also just a valid. Or my bad. It's also just a true dichotomy. So something can either exist or can either not exist. Or my fault, cannot fail to.
Oh my
It'd be
god, I'm gonna
God.
have
It's
to
just a true
sketch this out.
dichotomy. So it's either God is continuous contradiction, or God is necessary and there's no contradiction. Hello, am I lagging?
Give me 1 second.
He's just not here.
I mean, it seems pretty simple.
Give
Yeah,
me one
nigga
second.
does not do theology, bro.
I don't do theology, I'm telling you.
I mean, we've already
Yeah,
done
I
abortion
know.
twice. I'm not doing abortion again. That's my
Zeni,
fault.
Zeni, you're not supposed to debate a nigga something he don't do, bro.
No, we've already done his main topic. Not really his main topic, but we've already done a topic that he does way more than me.
I'm going to some different ethics. I don't fucking know. That's not abortion. Well, I
Your
won't do
ethics
that
is
shit. Let me not even
important
get on you. I won't even get on you. I hate fucking ethics. Like I despise it.
to you, bro. And also, that shit's boring, but the audience
Yeah,
is
that
not
shit
trying to
way
see
more
some
boring
boring
to
ass
me.
ethical debate.
You right, you
No,
right, you right.
Nigga,
Like,
I
I
open
like
the
this some
ethics book and
metaphysics.
I just like close that shit, bro. Like that shit's boring, bro.
I hate when
That
niggas
ass.
try to get me into like an
Yeah, no,
ethics
but
room. I
like I
fucking
said,
hate that.
like I said again, like I formatted it in like a kind of truth schematic. Yeah, it seems like this type of reasoning ends up into a circular reasoning, right?
I mean, what's
Okay,
To
Team
say
circularity?
Marcy, go
P,
ahead and do that.
not P. Therefore, yeah, to say P. Well, again, this could follow down some type of. This could follow down to some type of what's the type of inference rule? Um, this could follow down into double negation elimination rule, but I'm not too sure if I agree with double elimination negation rule.
Dude, what do
So it just seems like this links down to a circular reason.
so you think it's circular
Right, so I
because
don't
of
see how
this
to argue against it.
elimination rule? I mean, he go ahead and define double negation elimination. He could also tell me the circularity.
You want me to describe what the double negation elimination rule is?
Yeah, go ahead and explain that, and also tell me how it's circular. But I just don't see the circularity here.
You don't see this. Okay, well, I mean, I explained the reason why it seems circular earlier, but the double negation elimination rule is just allows you to remove two negations from a statement. So it says not P, therefore P, right? So if it's the case that not P is true, then P must be true. Uh, that's what
So
the double
you said not.
elimination rule is.
You said wait. I'm not going about. It's not
Yeah, I
about this.
just
So
don't. I just don't.
that you're gonna repeat that last part. So you said not P therefore P.
Yeah, your argument goes as in P. The reason why P is true is not P, therefore P. That's the argument,
What
right?
about that's no? That's not
That just
that's not the
that
argument.
wraps back into a circle because
The argument is if P then Q.
the reason why it's circular is because to say P and the reason why P is true is not P, therefore P. Well, then we just question why not P is true, and then we question why not P is true. You give
But
an
no,
alternative reason, and once you give an alternative
no. The
reason,
argument.
we never
Look,
needed not P in the first place.
look. I don't think you understand the argument. The argument is not saying that at all. If you're talking about the justification for the
Your
argument, I
argument,
can
your
right
argument
now.
is saying that.
The
That's what
argument
your
goes
argument's
if
saying.
P. The argument goes if P then Q. P therefore Q. That's literally just the
Oh my
argument.
god,
So
no, you're
if the
confused.
totality,
I'm not talking about the argument
if
that you listed out in chat.
totality, the
Listen,
totality
holy,
is actually like completely existing
just to
separate
be
concepts.
clear,
The totality.
Zenny, you might be a little bit confused what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is not about the argument that you listed out in chat. I'm talking about when I asked you, what would you say in defense of God being a necessary being, would you just say it's a first cause? You said no. I just say it leads into a contradiction for God not being a first cause or not being a necessary being.
Yeah,
Therefore, he would be a
I'm
necessary being.
God.
What that
God.
argument leads down
God
to is what that argument leads down to is P. The reason why P is true is not P. Therefore, P. That's what your argument leads down to. We're not talking about the argument listed out in
Hey,
chat.
here's what
I
I
just
think.
explained to you why it's circular.
You're gonna have to explain that. So, we could just run through the dialogue.
Jesus Christ, I have to explain everything.
So the reason why God is necessary is because that if God is contingent, then that means He is actualizing Himself, and obviously you can't actualize yourself. Therefore, God would have to be non-contingent, aka
Well,
necessary.
Well, no. Again, just to be clear
So,
here, like again, I just said what your argument is saying is P is true because not P, not P.
what?
Therefore P. That's what your argument's saying.
Not,
P is
bro.
true because not P. Therefore P. That's what your
Yeah, I'm saying
argument's
that
saying.
God. Okay, yeah, okay, I don't think that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that if God was contingent,
Okay.
that leads to a contradiction. Therefore,
Understood.
God is. What? How is that circular?
Dude, I just, oh my god,
God
bro. Okay, listen. Let me just format it into what your argument's saying. P is true. That's yeah. You're saying P is true. That's equivalent to saying God is a necessary being. Now, not P. It's just saying it is not true that God is some
Why
necessary
are you using
being,
double
right?
knots? Okay, I'm looking. I don't know why you're using
Yeah,
double knots.
because not just means yeah. What not what? Okay, so do you not know what not means?
No, I
Because
understand what not.
we're not gonna say not P, right? Obviously, we're not gonna say not P because what not P is de-affirming like what you just said in your previous sentence. If I said P not P, well then that's just directly negating what you first like established, right? So you're saying P not P, as in it is not true that
No, I'm
P
gonna
is
like
not some
have,
necessary agent because it leads into a contradiction, right?
you're gonna have to put this. You're gonna have to put
So
this in natural language. So we have P being God is necessary, and then not P is that God is not necessary. Is that what you're trying to say?
it is not. It is no. God is necessary. It is not true that it's not true that God isn't necessary.
It
Therefore,
is
God is
true.
necessary.
Not true. God is necessary. What the fuck? I wrote it out. So God is necessary. It is not true that it is not true. God is necessary.
Yeah, the reason why
Yeah,
the reason why
I
that
always think that's like a
premise is
coherent
true.
sentence. So I don't
Well, that
understand.
obviously is. It's what a double negation is,
Let
and
me shine.
but just
That
to be
that
clear, let
was
me format
fine.
this
I
in a
was
different
fine.
way.
Now just
You
look
said
online.
the reason
Go
why.
online from back
You said the
inside
reason
yourself.
why
Go
is
online.
because
Bro, shut up.
shut the fuck up. See. Yeah, listen. Just to be clear here, let me format this in a different way. Then, right? I'm saying this, right? So you say not you say P, right? Not P is obviously true, right? But like because that's what your position's entailing. It's not true. It's not true that God isn't a necessary being.
Okay, so P is God
Or
is
it's not true
necessary,
that it's
and
not true that God is a
P,
necessary being. Or
and
like,
not P is that. Okay, so
No,
P is
dude, how
God.
do I get you to understand what not
Bro,
P
you're
means?
trying to
Like, fuck.
no,
Okay, but
bro.
like your argument is saying
bro.
it's contradictory for the opposite. So it is true that the affirmation is true.
All right, there you go. Yeah, that's the argument. So if God was contingent, then that leads to a contradiction. Therefore, God is necessary. All right. So where's the circularity?
Yeah. So do you see how I laid it out now? Do you see
No,
now the P not P therefore P thing
I
works?
don't even think that's like an accurate description of the argument. It just seems like a straw man. But I mean,
Why
if
do
we
you not think it's an
disagree,
accurate description of the argument?
because all I'm saying
Like
is
I
that
said, if you say, well, it's a contradiction, it's a contradiction for God to not be necessary. Well, not
no.
P,
Oh my God! Look,
so look,
all I'm
I
saying
grant
is
that I'm
that
annoying you
I
saying not. I grant that I'm annoying you when I say not P, right? But like, listen, the entire point, this is necessary, right? Like, this is a necessary component, right? We have to say not P, right? Because this is what your argument's, portraying. I just sketched it out how your argument's portraying this, right? You
no.
said, well, it is
It's dysfunctional.
contradictory, which is, not, it's contradictory, but yeah, again, just to be clear, it's contradictory for the opposite to be true. Therefore, the affirmation is right? Well, then all I say is, well, why is it contradictory for the counter to be true? Um, and then we just ignore the entire other question. Like it doesn't even have to like lead down to it. We can just say, well, the reason why this is not true because some other reason, not because some contradictory reason.
Look,
It can just be some other reason.
it's just a disjunctive syllogism. So it's either God is necessary or contingent. He can't be both necessary and contingent, and then he can't be something like that is not necessary or is not contingent. So then we have God is not contingent because then we have God is not contingent because that's a contradiction. Therefore, God is necessary. That's the whole
Dude,
argument.
you're like I like, bro, like, you know,
That
I've been hearing people,
it's a
I've
dichotomy.
been hearing,
God
you know, I've been
can't be
seeing, not hearing, I've been seeing people in the chat, you know, just going like, you know, he gave the argument or not, but he didn't actually give an argument. I'm asking, what's the argument for, or, which I've said this like about like 3 times now. What is the argument for God being, you know, some contingent thing, some contradiction, right? Like,
okay.
obviously,
Okay, if your
It's the
obviously, I'm
set
argument
not
is
seeing
of.
the
so
I'm not seeing the problem. I'm not seeing the problem with some infinite regress, right? Like, because you'd have to like you have to concede that like infinite regress is some logical impossibility, right? Because, you know, that's your argument's going to
yeah.
contain, right? But I'm just not clear what logical contradiction or what set of logic does it, you know, break, and why it's logically contradictory, right? So I just need an argument.
Yeah, so if everything was contingent, right? Or if everything contingent were caused or brought into being by something else that's also contingent, that would be contradictory because that something else would itself already be a part of the total collection of all contingent things. So it can't actualize the whole set that it's already a member of, because that would be like saying a member of the
That just
set causes
begs
the
the question
existence.
against infinite
Wait,
regress.
are you gonna shut up? No, can you get moderation, bro? I'm explaining why
I
it's a
don't agree to
contradiction.
moderation. Like, I just let you explain. I just let you explain
I'm
in
not
what you
done yet,
said.
dumbass.
Listen,
Obviously, if I'm gonna
okay,
keep
what, like, here, I'm gonna let you finish and let's see what
obviously
extra,
I'm keeping
yeah,
quiet.
let me let you finish. Dude,
Be
why are you
quiet.
crashing out? Like,
Because I'm
just
still
calm down. You're like
talking.
crashing out for no reason.
But you want to get moderation, bro?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, no, I don't agree to moderation, but I just told
Okay,
you,
then shut
go
the
ahead and
fuck up
say,
and
you
report,
can go,
dumbass. I'm
just
saying
calm
something.
down, just
Obviously, I'm
just
saying
calm down.
something,
It's
so
not that
be
serious.
quiet so I can get these
Just calm
explanations in.
down. You're like crashing out right now. It's not that
Okay,
serious, bro.
you
Just
are the
calm down and just repeat what you. Holy shit! Repeat what you have to say, and like, let's see what added on information that's necessary for the
okay.
conversation.
So a contingent thing can't actualize the whole set that's already a member of, because that's like saying a member of the set causes the existence of the entire set, including itself, which doesn't make any sense. Because if for it to actualize the entire set, that would mean that would have to exist before it existed. Like what? That doesn't make any sense. And that's why God can be contingent. So he would have to be non-contingent or necessary.
Wait, can you repeat that last part again? You said something about like they'd have to exist before something existed.
Yeah. So for it can okay. So look, this contingent thing is already saying that, or this contingent thing is already within these sets, right? And it's going to like I guess cause the entire set, but it's already a member of the set itself. So it's like it's going to cause itself, which doesn't make any sense. Something can't cause itself.
No, that's not what the. That's not what. Okay, you're confused. You're like basically assuming that a contingent thing would actualize itself, and the contingent thing obviously is going to actualize, right? Obviously, what I'm saying, like entire thing, like this argument just kind of begs the question against infinite regress. But just to be clear, the cause thing doesn't have to cause itself, right? It's just causing some other thing, and then the previous thing is going to cause some
I
other
mean,
thing,
it's
and then
contingent.
it goes
So
on for
you
ad
have to
infinitum.
explain it.
Right? Hold on. Wait, how are you gonna say? How are you gonna say? Like, are you gonna mad at me? You off and then you cut
Because
me
I
off?
can,
Like,
nigga.
come on.
Because I can.
Like, okay,
Oh, no.
well, great. So just don't cry about
But go
moderation
ahead.
when I cut
Go
you
ahead.
off every fucking time. So
Go ahead.
yeah, great. So just to be clear, it just it's gonna lead to ad infinitum, right? It's just not gonna cause itself. It's just gonna cause some other thing. Um,
But what
but
caused it? That's the thing. What caused it? And if it's another contingent thing, then
the thing before it, it's an ad
yeah,
infinitum.
that
Like the
itself
thing
is
before it's gonna
that
infinitely
is
cause
all.
some other thing, right? And
Look,
that's just I'm
all you
just again I'm
said,
not seeing the reason why that's contradictory, right? The
the
entire thing
set.
of
Don't
you're
need the
saying
set.
it's contradictory because like saying it's contradictory is because they'd be a part of the set and they're causing something else. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. Something part of a set and cause something else a part of the set, then they can all be infinitely a part of the set. And if you're just saying, well,
I
what
don't even know what
actualizes
you
the
call
set? Well, it's
that.
just the
No,
infinite thing
infinitely a
the
part of
infinite thing that's causing the entire thing, right? Like, there's no contradiction. Like, it's just no
I don't know what
contradiction.
you mean by when you say, look. I don't know what you mean by when you say that they're all infinitely a part of the set. That seems kind of weird to me. Um, Are you just saying that
You don't
there's
understand what that means? Holy shit. Holy shit. You don't understand what that
look?
means? They're
Explain it
all
to
infinitely a part of the set. Wait, what word are you confused on?
not the word. I'm confused on the idea of it. I don't even know how that would be like the
Okay,
case
so
because
imagine one person. Wait, you can obviously imagine one person being part of a set, right? You understand that?
yep.
Okay, now you understand two people being a part of one set, right?
I know it, bro. Okay, never mind. Look, you understand? Okay,
Okay,
the
yeah,
set
so
of
they're
these
all
infinite
infinitely a part
contingent
of the set
things.
just means that there's an infinite amount
Look,
of members a
each
part of
set,
one
look,
set.
each set, the
Sorry,
set
you're
of
like
all
cutting
these
out. I can't
infinite
hear you.
contingent things still need an
You're
explanation for
like kind
why.
of cutting out right now. I can't hear you. You're
Okay,
kind of
so
cutting out.
there
I
is.
can't hear you.
Okay, hello. Am I okay now?
Yeah, no, you're better.
Your
Yeah, you're
background
better now.
noise
All right.
makes
So
you
look.
shit.
Okay, look. There's a set, right? And even if you want to say that it was caused by another thing, a part of the set, there still needs to be an explanation as to why the set in itself exists, and that can't be
Why?
something contingent because that would mean it's already within the set.
Well, why would there need to be a reason for why this set exists? What's the explanation or
Because
like,
it's
what's the
contingent,
argument
and by
for why
definition,
there needs to be?
contingent things have explanations for their existence.
Okay, well, brute facts, for example, aren't necessary, agents, right? They're kind of contingent, right? They don't need explanation for why they,
I don't.
right?
I'm
The
not
only thing they're
motivating this.
doing is just right. But
I'm
no, no,
not.
I'm giving you
I
an
don't.
example. I'm giving you an example of some case where who the fuck's background? Your prophecy. Mute your mic, bro.
Don't tell prophecy what to do, dude.
Trash ass
My
Mike.
bad, bro.
Tell him what
Yeah,
to do,
look, right.
nigga.
So I'm giving you an example of where it's just there's some motivating reason for, or there's some like case where we don't need a reason for something, right? Unless you take it to be that this wouldn't actually be a case, and in fact, I just need an argument for why.
I saw just because are you positing the existence of brute fact or you saying that brute fact can also
Well, I'm saying that. Well, yeah, I could posit the case that facts, but more of so, what I'm saying is that we see that there's we have brute facts, for example, and the idea of brute facts is just they are things that aren't necessary, and these things kind of they might be contingent, right? Like type of things don't require a reason for why it exists, but instead they just operate. I'm doing what they do. They just don't need a reason for why they exist. Right? Like
Do you realize
that's the
how that
entire
leads
thing of
into
a
the
brute fact.
biggest problem?
You
Do you
said
realize how
what?
that leads into the biggest problem?
I can't hear you. You're cutting out.
Okay, do you realize how that
You're like
leads
cutting
into a
out. You're cutting
vagueness
out.
problem? Bro,
What
I'm gonna
vagueness problem does it lead into?
I'm gonna restart my Discord real quick. Give me a second.
Okay, great.
He said, give
You
him a
guys
second, bro.
suck at debating. You guys hung on the
Madoka, give him a
line.
second,
Don't play
nigga.
that stuff in the background, bitch.
Yeah, that wasn't nice, dude.
Anyway, whenever he's trying to
Low
stop
key, bro,
being
I'm not
Nigga,
even listening.
dumb,
bro, it was
I'm
Nexus,
not
bro.
gonna
Nexus
It's
beat my
genuinely like,
ass.
calm
bro.
down.
This is like our worst debate we've ever had, bro. Like the debate should have been
Also, yo,
over by now.
Prince,
So I
Prince,
don't
we're
like
debating
debating
off of this
theology.
rat, just to be clear.
Learn how to track next time, monkey.
Problem.
Yeah, what vagueness problem does it lead into?
If that's a brute fact, then why can't everything else also be a brute fact? There doesn't seem to be
Why can't
a
everything
discussion
else?
that wait.
Why can't
It
everything
doesn't seem
else
to
be
be
a brute fact? Because
wait.
everything else could have a reason, but everything else could just
That
have
broken.
everything else could just have a reason for why it exists. That's obviously why everything else isn't a brute fact. Right? Like if I
No,
say
I'm saying
if
why
I say,
can't
well, I
we
have a
have
PlayStation
a brute
Five.
fact?
I have a PlayStation 5 here. Wait, hold on. Just to be clear, I have a PlayStation 5 here. Well, the reason for why the PlayStation 5 exists is because there's some humans that made 5, right? And that's the reason why the PlayStation 5 exists. Right. Well, now say I had a PlayStation 5 that was a brute fact, right? Well, we just don't know why the PlayStation 5 exists, but it's obviously clear that this objection doesn't fucking work against brute facts because most things have reasons for why they like. That's just a horrible
You're
objection to
gonna
brute
have to
facts.
discuss the last part. So what was that last part? So the reason why the vagueness problem doesn't work here is what?
Okay, I'm just gonna repeat this one more
Elf
time.
Herbert.
Right, the reason why that objection doesn't work to brute facts is because most things have a reason for why they exist. So to, ask the question, well, why can't everything else just be a brute fact? Is because everything else we have a reason for why they exist, right? Like for example, my PlayStation 5 right now, right? Like this PlayStation 5, the reason why it exists is because some guy created it. They manufactured it. They operated on it, and now it exists, right? Or for example, like this water bottle that I have. Well, some guy made some guy like mixed the plastic, etc., and they made this water bottle, right? Or anything that really exists, like this pretzel bag, this computer, etc., right? Like there's obviously this vagueness objection doesn't work because we just have other things that have a reason for why they exist.
Okay, look, just to be clear, even most things having the reason for existence doesn't mean that the vagueness problem still applies.
Sorry, hold on. Let me mute my mic because I can't hear you right now. Hold on.
Okay, so even if these things already have an explanation, right? That doesn't mean we still can't use the vagueness problem. The existence of or the explanation as to why these things are in this sort of way can still be brute. So we can have like, why is that building there? Because it's brute. Why is the planet in this like specific order? Because it's brute. Why does the problem exist? Because it's
Well,
brute.
that vagueness
Like,
objection just
because
kind of misses the point
yeah,
now. Like the vagueness objection
I'm
switches
still going,
from,
bro. I'm still going.
well, why can't,
Look,
wait,
just because I'm not done yet. So look,
okay, great.
just because you can give an explanation doesn't mean that we still can't say that the existence of these things are brute and that's the explanation as to why they exist.
Well, no, what? Okay, I mean, well, the question kind of switches from, well, why, or like these other things could be brute. Why aren't other things brute? And that to be directly correlated for the existence. Now the question just kind of shifted to, well, why does this exist here? Why does it exist there? Right. Well,
Because
that
it's
type of
brute.
question just misses them. That kind of question misses the mark for the original question of the existence of such. The existence of X does not correlate with the place in space where X exists, right?
I mean,
Like
that doesn't matter.
those
I'm
are
just
two different. Wait, just to be clear, there's two different questions here. You understand those are two different questions? Why does X exist, and why does X exist in such a place, right? Like, well, the reason why that building exists there is because some guy decided to put it there, right? And that's not a brute. That's actually a reason for why
no. Look, that's
that
an
thing
explanation
exists
you
there.
can give. Look, that's an explanation you can give. But I'm saying that it can also be brute that thing is just there because it's brute. Like, it's just a brute fact that building is.
But that's not brute. That's not a brute fact. What are
You
you
know what?
talking about? Brute fact is.
Something that exists without an explanation. So the explanation of this thing
Well,
being
yeah,
you
something
can
that
have
exists
the
without a reason is not equivalent to that which exists with a reason that doesn't have a reason for why it existed at a certain
I mean, that
place.
just seems like a
That's not
whole.
what brute facts talk about. You're confused about what brute facts are.
Seems like a whole jumbo. Like that doesn't refute anything. You realize that, right?
You don't think that
Because
it refutes anything?
no, because okay, look,
Okay,
you just
so
think that well, why is it there? Isn't the type of question that can be answered
just to
brute.
be clear, I
All
want
I'm
everyone to
saying is
notice
that
that
why is
he
this
says,
place and why is that place? Um, basically,
bro,
all I'm
you're like
trying to say is
severely
that
confused right now.
we
Like
can
the
accept.
point is
Look,
this.
look, 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 look.
Like you're confused. The like brute
All
facts
right.
talk about the existence of X, not where X exists in a specific place in space. That's a complete
Oh well, yeah. The
refutation of what you're
existence of this
saying.
building being there is that it's a brute. And look, if we accept things
Okay, but
without an
does
explanation,
that now mean the
the
existence of X is brute?
yeah, well, yeah, the reason why it's there or the reason why it
Oh,
exists
you're
at all is because
what?
you
What?
don't think.
Okay, so X existing is now brute because X exists in a brute way. Wait, hold on, just be clear.
No, look, X
X existing is
exists
brute.
just because it
Hold on,
it has
let me
it,
finish. X existing is brute because X exists in some space, and the reason why X exists in some space is because it's brute, or
what?
because
That's
it's
not
brute,
what I'm
like X
saying.
exists in that
Well,
space is
I'm
brute.
saying that this being there or like a building being there, it can have no explanation for why it's there. And if we accept things without any explanation,
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean that. Oh my god!
bro, are you gonna
How
let me
many times
talk
are
to
you
you,
gonna have
bro?
to? No, you're saying the same shit over and over
I'm
again. That's
saying
what I'm
that
saying, and you're not
no,
tracking the response to it. Like, dude, like I'm telling you, well, X existing. Well, listen, just be clear.
yes,
X
X exists
existing
as
is
true. If we
different
accept
from
this true fact,
no
then we
wait.
can say that
X
anything.
having no reason for why it exists is separate from X not having a reason why it exists in X place or Y place. Those are two different type of claims.
All
You're
I'm
not responding to that.
all I'm doing is showing how if we accept brute, like things that have no explanation,
Oh
then
my
we can accept
god.
anything with the fact that they
This guy's
have
so
no
confused on what brute
explanation.
facts are.
Can
Holy
you shut the
shit.
fuck up? Can you shut up?
Hey,
Can you
listen,
shut
just
up?
don't get agitated. Don't get agitated, bro. Just calm down.
Hey, then shut the fuck up and let me explain, dumbass. Like, holy shit.
Dude, you're repeating the.
You
I
seem like
promise you, you're gonna say the same exact thing, and then you're gonna be like, "Listen, you haven't responded to this." After I responded to like
look,
five
if
times
you were
already,
to accept,
just repeat the same exact thing you're gonna say.
no explanation,
No,
look,
just
What
go
the
ahead. Say
fuck?
the same exact thing that I responded to already. Go ahead.
things based off of explanation, then we can accept essentially anything with no explanation, right? And that's why I'm saying that from the existence of this brute fact, anything can be explained with the fact that it has no explanation. And that's a problem because then we can because then basically everything can be like rational, coherent
Wait,
stuff
Madoka,
of
go
any
on mute, bro. You're making his
logical.
mic muffle really bad. Like, dude.
Yes. Did you hear the first part?
No, we didn't hear shit you said again.
All right, so I'm just saying that look, if we were to accept this proof fact, then we can explain anything with the explanation that they all have no explanation, right? We can say, well, like why did this happen? It has no explanation. It's just brute, and that comes from the fact that you posit this brute fact, and there just seems to be no distinction between this brute fact and God's brute fact, right? Or like saying that the explanation is that it's brute, right? And that follows because of the existence of that brute fact, right? Um, so we can accept essentially anything with no explanation, and that's the problem I'm trying to give here. Because then we miss, because then we miss like all sense of coherence. We don't need to do anything, or we don't need any reason to explain anything. We could just say that it's brute. And we could conclude now. You just seem to not track.
Okay, just to be clear, I just want to be clear for the audience, right? What he did just now was just repeat the vagueness objection, and then try to say that I didn't track the vagueness objection while not responding to my responses of the vagueness objection. I'm just gonna repeat the vagueness objection response one more time, and hope he actually responds to it. But the vagueness objection is just objecting the fact that most things can be considered brute facts. And if that's true, that most things can be considered brute facts, and it leads into some problem, right? And one, most things are not considered brute facts, which I already responded to, because most things have a reason for its existence, right? So, given that most things have a reason for its existence, well, then what that leads down into is just, it's just not a brute fact, right? So the vagueness objection just doesn't work there. And instead, he tries to, change the vagueness objection to be like, well, things could have a reason for their existence, but not have a reason for why they exist in a specific place. Well, that just doesn't attack anything because that doesn't mean it's a brute fact, which I've already said like 5 times now. It existing in a place unknowingly for no reason does not make it a brute fact because it doesn't have a claim about its existence. It has a claim about its place and why does it exist in X place, but that's not a claim about its existence, right? Obviously, I can say, well, this PlayStation 5 has a reason for its existence, right? And that's because some guy created it. That's why it exists. But say, well, there's no reason for why the PlayStation 5 exists in, there's no reason for why the PlayStation 5 exists in Idaho, right? Or something like that. But again, you can like kind of tell that there's no claim about the existence there. There's a claim about, where it exists in space. Now, where it exists is just a temporal claim. It's not an existence claim. Or not really like a temporal. It can be like a space or temporal claim, right? But it's just talking about the location. It's not talking about the actual existence of it. It's not talking about the ontology, right? So again, the vagueness objection just doesn't work against brute facts because it's not actually talking about brute facts, right? So and again, he tries to like say that like I don't give a reason. Like, well, you can obviously give a reason that X thing exists because some person placed it there, right? And you can do that for most examples. So again, like the vagueness objection just doesn't work.
Okay, look. We just lose the basis to prefer one claim over another, right? But in other areas of life, we assume that these things have an explanation. So if your window breaks, you ask why, what caused that, right? Scientists also search for the reasons behind natural events. They don't just say that it's brute. And rational inquiry is just based on the fact that things have explanations for their existence. Right. So I mean, we can conclude. I don't think you're responding to anything.
I mean, in response of the response of the vagueness objection, it seems like you haven't attacked literally anything I said throughout the entire vagueness objection. You do say what you do say though is this, that there's certain scientists that look for reasons behind things, and it's true that certain scientists do look for reasons behind things, and the reason why they look for it is because the thing that they're searching for is complicated, right? Now, it's an indefinite period. There could be an indefinite period where we don't know the reason for why X exists, right? But that does not mean that X is brute, right? Like,
I'm saying we can
because
explain it
X
by
is,
saying that it's brute. I'm saying we could explain it by saying it's brute. Like, you're just not tracking that. So
what,
any
we
natural
can
event could
explain it
be
by saying
explained
it's
by
brute, but we
tracking.
can't explain it by
Yes.
saying it's brute. Like,
Look,
great.
bro,
You just cut me off, right? So, like, I didn't even get to finish
because
what I was saying,
you're
right?
not
So,
tracking this. You're just
but no,
not tracking it.
I'm obviously
I'm saying that
obviously I am tracking.
any
Obviously, I'm
natural
tracking. I
event.
just repeated what you said word for word. What are you talking about? Like, just
So,
stop cutting me off, because every time I
look,
cut you off, you get pissy. You get pissy. You get really
look,
mad.
I'm
You get on
saying
your
that any
period and
natural
everything.
event
Just
is
let me finish what I'm saying.
saying that any
Just let me finish what I'm saying, dog. Yeah, I mean, great. Like, I believe you weren't tracking most of this debate. Does that mean I should be able to cut you off at any point in time? Well, no, obviously not. So just shut the fuck up and let me finish what I
I'll
was saying.
look,
I
I'll
don't give a fuck what you're
any
saying right now
I'm
because you
saying that
cut
any
me
natural.
off. Like,
I'm saying I use
you can
language.
respond after I give the. You can respond after. Let me
Right?
finish what I was saying. You just got so pissy mad because I
Go
cut
ahead.
you off.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, great. Like I was saying, yeah, the reason why most scientists, try to look for reasons for certain things is because those certain things are complicated. Now, could you classify them as brute? Well, maybe you might be able to classify them as brute, but excuse me, it's not fully brute, right? And by that I just mean, well, it's not true that it actually has, no explanation for its existence. It's just that we don't know anything for why it exists at the current moment, because we're still investigating it. Well, what a brute fact is just that we will not know why it has no, we will not know the reason for its existence because it doesn't have a reason for its existence. Now, scientists just say, well, we don't know why X exists. That's different from saying X has no reason for why it exists. Again, and to respond to the natural, the other thing, like a natural scientist or whatever she said, say that most things have reason. Well, I mean, yeah, great. I mean, that doesn't really attack anything. In fact, that actually goes against your point.
Are you done? Okay, so look, the reason why scientists won't claim that the explanation is brute or it's that it's unknown is that evidence that we naturally look for. We believe in things based off of reason and inquiry, because if we have or if we can accept an explanation as brute, then you just don't need to justify anything because you can say that or you can claim that the explanation is brute. And we hold claims about things to an expectation of evidence, right? But then this bruteness, or you just saying that it's brute, seems to lose all. It just seems to fail on this expectation. And we can conclude. Do you want to conclude? Or I don't want to continue this
Well, no,
conversation anymore.
'cause I'm not going to conclude now because you just made a new point, right? So
Okay. Yeah,
the new point you made was that, well, given that you don't have a reason for why, you know, X thing, and now saying that, you know, just because you're saying that reasons could have bruteness to it. So at that point, we can just say anything and it not have a reason for why. Well, just to be clear, I'm not even sure how that works because every single or most things have a reason for the argument, like the most thing. Actually, I think it's kind of weird to say. Just to say this, I think it's kind of weird to say thing has no reason, but it's a reason itself, right? Like, seems like that's just contradictory. Unless I'm not like actually conveying what you're saying. So you can just repeat it one more time.
You said, well, bro, I'm not. I wasn't paying attention at all. So, yeah.
Okay, great. Just repeat what you said about the
Yeah.
reasons point, like the argument reason point.
The argument, what, bro? That we hold claims to an expectation of evidence.
No, not that. The point before that, you were talking about things Like we can just we say reasons and just it could be brute.
Yeah. Basically, just we can say that, or we can claim that the explanation of any event ever is that it's brute, and it just has no explanation. So if we accept the bruteness in one area, I mean all other areas can
Wait,
just
wait, wait. Any
follow
wait,
that
just
same
wait.
line of
I just want to
reasoning.
track. I just want to track this. You said any explanation could be brute.
Or we can claim that the explanation of this thing or of this event is brute. That's what I'm saying.
Is brute. Well,
Yeah, it's
I mean,
brute. Yes, it's brute.
yeah. I mean, I grant like the explanation of X event could be brute. Yeah, I do agree. But that doesn't attack brute facts, right? I mean, like
Yeah, I mean
what you're gonna lead what you're gonna lead that down to is this. You're gonna
that's
say,
a
well, then any you think wait, hold on. You're gonna say, well, this is a problem because we can just classify anything else as this. And again, we're gonna repeat down the same exact point. The same exact point was just this. The point was, well, no, it's just most things have an explanation for why they exist, but there's a very small few that we can say are brute. And I'm not even sure if there's anything that exists in the universe currently that is brute. Um, I'm not too sure about that, but it's obviously possible. It's obviously conceivable that there's things in the universe that are brute. Now, the thing is just this. Well, it's not impossible to say things are brute, and it doesn't lead into problems that you suggested here because all the problems fail. Like every single problem that you listed out fails
I'm
here
not gonna. You're gonna
because
have to repeat. You're gonna have to repeat the first part of your explanation. So repeat that. I'm saying.
yeah. So I just said was I just said you're gonna lead it down into saying, well, there's a problem. And the reason why it's a problem is because other things can be brute facts, right? And if most things can be brute facts, well, then we just have no reason for why things exist. And obviously, this is like a vagueness problem or something like that, right? Well, again, we're just gonna go back into the same exact pile. The same exact pile would just be, well, most things have a reason for why it exists. If not, almost all things have a reason for why they exist, right? Now, there's a very select few that don't have a reason for why it exists, right? I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure if there's things in the universe that are brute necessarily, but look, well, brute facts aren't necessary, but like, I'm not even sure if there's actual brute facts in the universe. But it's obviously possible that there could be, brute facts in the universe, right?
I mean,
So again,
how do we
there's the
decide?
vagueness
How do
objection.
we
The
decide?
vagueness of wait. The vagueness objection just doesn't work because the vagueness objection is attacking things can be brute, but things are not brute. That's the problem, right? Like it's obviously true that things could be brute, but almost everything in the universe has an explanation for its existence. So the vagueness objection just doesn't work.
I mean, that just seems like a repetition of what you originally said. But look, how do we decide between
Yeah,
what is
because it's
brute
the
and what
same
is not?
exact
Wait,
point.
no,
That's what I'm
stop,
telling you.
stop. How do we
It's the
decide
same
between
exact
what
point.
is
That's what I'm
brute?
telling you.
I don't.
Yeah,
Listen,
yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, go
But
ahead,
look,
go ahead,
how do we
go ahead, go
decide?
ahead, go ahead.
I can send you a friend request. Look. What the fuck? But look, how do we decide between what is brute and what is not brute from there? So how do we say that? Well, this thing can be brute, but that thing can be brute. They just seem to. They just
That's a
seem to
very Zeni,
exist.
that's like a very
Stop,
obvious
stop.
question you should know the answer to.
Like
That's a very obvious
and
question.
from there seems to be no virtual distinction between these two things, right? Um, there seems to be no virtual distinction.
It's a stipulation, and the obvious answer is just one has no explanation at all for its existence, no conceivable explanation at all, and two, the other thing has an explanation for why it exists, or will have an explanation for why it exists. So, for example,
Look, I'm saying that
yeah,
there's no
wait, hold on, bro. Jeez, like, how are you gonna tell me? Yeah, like this is like hypocrisy, like at its finest. Okay, so say that I say this, right? Say that I say, there's two computers, right? We have computer one, we have computer two. Now, say computer two is the non-brute factor thing, right? This has a reason for why it exists. It was, operated on. It was, it actually has all the parts that we need. We made the computer and everything, right? Like it has a reason for why it exists. Now, computer one, on the other hand, some alienated technology, right? Now, this computer, we don't know at all why it exists, right? We have no clue of the reason for why it exists at all. We have nothing, right? Like this computer just spawned out of nowhere, right? Well, now the very clear distinction between computer 1 and computer 2 is computer 2 has a reason for why it exists. Computer 1 does not have a reason for why it exists. So we establish it as brute.
Okay, look. Basically, I'm trying to ask if X is a brute fact. What is the case that X is a brute fact over Y, right? So causes specify their effects. So from the effect, we can infer, or from the effect, we can infer what the type of cause is. Like if I have a gear, right, and I say that the gear causes X, supposedly X here won't just be a universe full of trans unicorns. But if brute facts have no explanation, what specifies them? Why did the case that the universe is a brute fact over the universe of gay unicorns, right? And then if you say that, well, it's just a brute fact, then we just lead into this infinite regress of just brute facts. So that is a brute fact. That's a brute fact. And why that the case? I mean, that's a brute fact. It seems to go infinitely back um with no end in sight, and that seems arbitrary. Like we can conclude, bro.
Wait, can you say the last part again? You said
Yeah, at least
wait, hold on, just be clear. You said like the picking out between a brute fact and a an actual fact is like arbitrary.
yeah, it seems to be arbitrary. For you to
I
say
just explained this. Like
how
Zeni, were you listening to my last point? Be honest. Just be honest. Like, I can grant you that I was kind of monologuing on the last point, right? So, like, were you listening at all?
I'm just telling you that if you just say that the reason why this is a brute fact and not that is because it's a brute fact, and that leads to an infinite regress of brute
Oh,
facts.
what do you mean by Mike? I cannot hear you at all.
If you say that, no, Colin, hold on. Yeah, so if we say that, I mean, the reason why this is a brute fact and not, or if you say that X is a brute fact and not Y because it's a brute fact, then that leads to an infinite regress of brute facts that have no end in sight.
What the fuck? No, I'm saying that. Well, I'm not saying the
Hello?
reason
Am I
why
lagging?
X is a brute
Yeah,
fact
you
is
chilling.
because X is a brute fact. Right? Like the distinction is one. Well, the distinction inherently is like one has an explanation and one doesn't have an explanation. Now, to say, well, that's what a brute fact is something that doesn't have an explanation. Well, yeah, that's fine, right? But what the claim is not that. Well, the distinction between the two is one's a brute fact and one's not. The distinction is one clearly has an explanation, an explanatory power for it. One does not.
Well,
That's
why do
how
we
you
prefer?
distinguish it very
No,
easily.
why do we
I'm
prefer that
giving you.
explanation over
I'm
the brute
giving.
fact? Why do we prefer that explanation over
You
the
said
brute fact?
what?
Why do we prefer that
Well,
explanation
because
that the
brute
brute
facts don't have
facts? How?
explanations. So
Let me
what are we?
finish.
What,
Look,
obviously, what? No,
bro,
yeah, I get
I'm
what you're
getting.
saying.
I'm clarify. That's not what I said.
The point is this. That's not what you said. You didn't say why do
Yeah,
we
that's not what
favor
I
the
said.
explanation over
Look,
the
I
brute
said
fact.
that. Why do we prefer that explanation over just saying that it's a brute fact? So let's say we have that
Why
this
do we?
building is there because someone built it, and let's say we have it's just a brute fact, right? Why do we say that it's someone built it over just saying that it's a brute fact? That's what I'm asking. Not that the
That it's
explanation had
just
to
a
be
brute
proved.
fact.
No, I'm asking
Well, I mean,
why can't you just
yeah, because a brute fact is just if you just say it's a brute, it's if you just say it's a brute fact, what you're just saying, well, it exists without an explanation at all, and it's a contingent thing. What I'm saying is just it doesn't have an explanation. That does not mean that it's now a contingent thing, right? That's
that,
what we're stipulating it
bro,
to be.
give me the reason why we prefer that explanation over the brute fact. Give me the reason.
I just fucking told you.
No,
Like
why do we prefer
what the
the explanation of people building it over just saying
Yeah,
that it's a
wait,
brute fact?
repeat my fucking response, retard. Like, holy
That
shit, you
has
keep
no,
fucking
your
doing this
response,
bullshit tactic
has
where you're
nothing
not
to do
fucking
with
listening to me. Like, it's
your
so
response.
fucking annoying.
Your
Just
response is
listen to what
yours.
the fuck I'm saying. Holy
Your
shit.
response is
It's
yours.
so
You
fucking
better repeat.
simple. One,
You
to
better
say
repeat it
it's
for
a
the
brute
audience.
fact, it's just saying it's some acausal thing. It's just it's some thing that doesn't have an explanation for its existence, which is contingent, right? That's what I'm saying. The distinction is when you say there's no explanation, you're not factoring in that it's fucking contention. Holy shit. That's what I'm fucking explaining to you. You're not fucking listening. Just open your fucking ears.
Yeah,
Just
that's
Jesus
not a
fucking
reason. That's
Christ.
not
There's a fucking
a reason why we
distinction.
prefer one over the other. That's not a reason why we prefer one over the other.
Yeah,
That's not a
because
reason.
one doesn't commit you to a contingency thesis. That's the reason why
Wait,
we prefer the other one because it has less commitment. You fucking moron. Like
what?
holy
Wait,
shit,
just because you think.
it's
Wait,
not
just
first
because
grade fucking math.
you think that if,
Like
bro, you
holy
think that if
shit,
we say that,
just respond.
wait, if you think that if we say that the reason why this building is there is brute, that commits us to a contingency thesis. I mean, what's the thesis? And I don't even.
Yeah, because that's what I think brute facts are.
Yes, brute
Some
facts.
non-explanation, like some non, like
Things
some,
that
so something that doesn't have an explanation, that's contingent, which
Yeah, and I'm saying
exists.
that why do we prefer the explanation of people building the just people that built the building over the explanation that it's just a brute fact?
Oh, what? Okay, so the question is not related to why do we, use, what I said, the brute fact over the, it doesn't have an explanation. It's not that. That's not the question you're asking. Rather, you're just asking why do we prefer someone built it over the fact that it's just a brute fact?
What, bro?
Well, because to say that it's a brute, to say that's a brute fact over someone building it. Well, to say that's a brute fact, again, most people would just say, look, say that everyone understood what a brute fact is. It's just something that doesn't have an explanation, it's contingent, something that doesn't have an explanation. Well, they're like, oh, well, it doesn't have an explanation. Well, why? Why does it not have an explanation? Like, what the fuck? They're not going to understand it. Now, you say someone built the building. Well, what happens is it leads to more understanding, right? That's why we prefer to say it has an explanation over a brute fact, because it leads to more understanding.
Why doesn't that apply to this scenario? Why doesn't that apply to this scenario where the reason why these things exist is brute? Why can't we say that, oh, well, that doesn't mean it needs an explanation? That explanation is God fucking
Because something having less understanding doesn't commit it to it being not true or not applicable in any sense.
You literally just gave a scenario.
Like in the same sense, just to be clear, yeah, we can. Okay, it's something being not well understood is not the type of thing that something being not understood is not the type of thing that makes it non-applicable.
No, I'm
right? Like the thing is, brute facts are just.
Look, what I'm saying is that you gave a scenario where people accept the explanation over the brute fact. I'm asking, well, now in this scenario with God, why can't we accept the explanation and say that, well, it can't be a brute fact because this is a better explanation for why things exist?
Well, again, wait. Just to be clear, the better explanation.
Dude, you're just stuttering. You don't
again,
know.
I'm not saying.
There's no reason why.
Dude, I can't fucking explain. I can't explain shit with this guy fucking interrupting over time. Do I just have to fucking yell over you because you won't fucking close your fucking lips every fucking time I speak? Is that gonna is that what I have to do? Like I have to just fucking baby you every fucking time? Listen, right? The reason I'm not saying that we cannot accept the thesis that there's like this causal relationship with God and there's some first cause. That's not the claim, right? The claim is that there could just be a brute fact. So I'm not sure whether it's necessary. And you're asking, well, why would we accept that when there's obviously a case where some people would accept this over something else? Well, again, the case is just an understanding case. That it leads to people understanding more. That's not a reason for why we accept X over Y, right? Or like that's not like a sufficient reason why we accept God over something else, right? Like there's obviously a stronger commitment between people understanding, some building over some people understanding God being a first cause in some brute fact contingency thing, right? Like there's obviously a clearer commitment here, a stronger commitment here. Right, like this is not an adequate reason for why we accept. Again, like the understanding case is just simply meant for humans, right? Humans are gonna understand things that have causes more than they're gonna understand people who have causes more than they're gonna understand brute facts, right? Because most people don't know what brute facts are. Right, but the brute fact thing isn't an understanding case, right? All I'm just saying is that, well, given that brute facts could exist and it's obviously possible that they exist, well then yeah, this is a direct refutation against first cause being necessary, right? It's not supposed to be like again like it does have credence for why we should accept it over the God case, right? Because it has less commitments that it leads you to. It doesn't have to establish a necessary thing. It doesn't ground you in these type of thing. It doesn't ground you in these type of commitments, right? So yeah, there's reasons for why we accept it over there, but it's not like that type of case.
I wasn't paying attention.
I know, because you're not gonna fucking pay attention at all, because you don't care about the fucking substance. You don't care about the rhetoric.
Go ahead and repeat everything.
Yeah, listen, I'm not gonna lie. I'm just not gonna repeat myself.
Yeah, so like, are you not gonna say whatever you're gonna say before? Look, it seemed like you were just
So
rambling.
here, fine. I'll repeat myself. So what I said was, there's a clear commitment difference between humans' understanding and the God case. There's credence for why the brute fact, we can favor the brute fact over the, what's it called, we can favor the brute fact over the God
Uh,
case, and that's because it doesn't commit you to, all these things, right? Like, it doesn't commit you to be God being a first
wait,
cause.
why is
It doesn't commit you to a necessary.
relevant
It doesn't
distinction?
commit you to a necessary
Why,
explanation.
why is it
All it commits you to is that there's an infinite regress, right? And that seems like to me, well, that's more parsimonious than there being some necessary agent that is a first cause that actualizes some contingent thing, right? Well, it seems like to me this is just a direct, counterment to what you're saying, right? I don't have to go under there's some necessary explanation, because it obviously doesn't have to be necessary. That's the entire point of the root that example, right? It doesn't have to be necessary. So instead of doing that, can you just actually respond?
why is the commitments a relevant distinction? Hello? Yeah, why is the commitments a
Why
relevant
are the
distinction? Where
commitments a relevant distinction? What?
I'm gonna clarify better. So basically, why is it
Because
that
if you commit yourself to more of these, if you commit yourself to other things, what it
as you
does is
said
it leads you less down the parsimony things. Because
that
no, it leads you less on parsimony, right? Like, your view should be parsimonious, right? So
as
when
you
you
said
say your view is, yeah. If you say your view is parsimonious, right? Well, then you're gonna have less commitments in your view, right? You're gonna have less entities posited, right? That's the entire thing with the argument, right? It commits you to other things, and it doesn't actually do well on parsimony, right? That's the entire reason why commitments are relevant here.
so I'm not gonna lie. So you said just parsimony and shit. But look, the reason why that really wouldn't matter in this case is because the explanation here is more intuitive. So I mean, like, and also it seems to be the case that we're positing the same amount of things.
More intuitive?
Yeah. So the explanation, obviously, when we give explanation for things, that's more intuitive
Okay,
than
so
the
the
things that we
explanation's more intuitive, but it's not more parsimonious.
I
It's not more
mean,
likely, but it's more
intuition and
intuitive.
parsimony don't really go together, but
Why
it
the
seems
fuck
to
would
be
we
the case that
accept?
we're positing.
Why would we accept
It seems,
something that's more intuitive and not more likely?
it seems the case.
Why
It
would
seems
we
the
accept?
case.
What?
It seems,
What?
it seems to be the
Wait
case
for
that we both.
president candidate.
Yeah, anyways, right. Look, it seems to be the case that we're positing the same amount of things. But look, do you want to conclude? I don't want to continue this anymore.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you didn't respond to the
Uh,
point. Yeah, I agree. I think you got blown the fuck out here in this discussion. You just kind of got lost.
Finally, bro.
you know,
Finally, bro.
I
Wiz,
got
just
like
read
four,
Andrew Luck on. Read
and
Andrew Luck on the new
on
cosmological
Rizzhan's
argument.
life,
Read Robson's.
I won.
Like,
Do not put
bro,
anything on my life,
like,
please.
just read more. Fucking, like, read
No,
more. I
what,
guess.
dude?
Then, yeah.
You
I
lost.
mean,
I don't. Oh my god, bro.
bro, like, dude, like, stop with it. Stop,
Name,
bro. Like,
okay,
you embarrassed yourself. You,
name,
like, genuinely embarrassed yourself. You
name two
genuinely
people.
embarrassed yourself.
Hey,
Name two people
nigga,
that.
let the nigga chill
War.
on his intuitions, bruh.
Right, anyway, what the fuck is that guy talking
Bro,
about? But look,
free. Like, do you hear what this nigga was saying, bro? Like, what are you talking
I
about?
don't
Like,
think
doing
No,
his
bro.
What
He
he was
intuitions?
said.
saying was
He
quite
said.
intuitive.
He said it
I
was
mean, what he was saying
intuitive.
was quite intuitive.
Wait. Yeah. What he was saying
Yeah,
was
whatever
intuitive,
you say,
bruh.
Rizzhan. You're a God believer.
Yeah.
Of course you think it's intuitive.
what,
Well,
bro?
What,
no,
bruh?
it's
I mean,
intuitive to
Rizzhan is
atheists.
smart.
Like, even people like Graham Oppy, who like atheists, like strong atheists, find what he was saying intuitive.
Yeah,
And
prove
see that
that.
there is a first cause. Where you want me? Yeah, I can get citations and stuff like that from Graham Oppy. He concedes there's a
Yeah,
first
great.
cause, he just doesn't
Yeah,
believe the first cause
yeah.
is God.
Well, yeah, no, I'm just saying. Well, again, like, you can say that. Well, I wasn't disagreeing that, like, there could be like a first cause. Like, it wasn't like I was just saying that there being a first cause is some necessary thing. I don't know if it's necessary.
Okay, so was he arguing for the existence of a necessary being, or just a being
Yeah,
that causes all of
yeah. He was
reality?
saying. He was saying. Yeah, he was saying it was necessary. Yeah, he was saying it's
I
necessary.
mean, like,
I mean, you can
I
make
don't know.
like an inductive argument for it being necessary. Like you can just state that the PSR is like globally true or necessarily true, and if the PSR is necessarily true, then
Well,
But nobody
necessarily is
really
the
got
he,
first
the
he,
cause.
he like
bro.
he gave like a big well yeah Rizzhan, what he did was like he gave like a
Wait, no,
vagueness
Rizzhan knows
so
that,
like
bro.
again like he was talking about He's talking about the no, yeah. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, well, again, like I mean, I don't know. I mean, the vagueness objection he gave was just like, well, if something could be a brute fact, well then most things could be a brute fact. And the response was just, well, most things have an explanation, so most things
I
just wouldn't
I
be
mean,
mean,
brute
that's
facts.
I don't think that's an adequate response because
yeah, see, there we
what
go.
he's basically
His
trying to
honest.
say, what he's because you're just like repeating the negation to like the claim you made, right? I think what he's basically trying to say, just he's trying to advance like a skepticist argument. So he's basically just saying that if there are brute facts and there's no restricting principle on how many brute facts there are, then it seems epistemically possible in principle that every single fact which obtains is a brute fact, right? If there's no restricting principle, then what he's asking you for
Okay,
is the
and like,
restricting principle.
what's the problem with the okay, but like, yeah, and what? Like,
And so that's just a
I
reductio.
don't
Like
see the response. Like,
if every fact that obtains is a brute fact, then obviously it can be the case that some facts are explained, but it's clear that some facts are explained,
some
right? So for
facts are
example,
explained.
the fact
Well,
that I
yeah,
exist is
that was a
explained.
response that certain facts are explained. What?
No, I'm
Like,
saying that
again, like,
if it's an entailment of believing in brute facts, that's nearly all or all facts which obtain are brute, but it's clear that some facts are explained, then obviously you shouldn't believe in brute facts because the entailment of believing in brute facts is one that's necessarily false. So like it's just a modus tollens argument.
It's not an entailment.
I
Entailed that
mean,
it's
no,
it's
obviously,
just
possible.
not
It's
true.
not an entailment that it's true.
Rizzhan is a genius. So yeah,
What did
whatever
you
you say.
say?
I said that's not an entailment of the view. It's an entailment that it's possible. It's not an entailment like like there's not some relation between the belief in brute facts and global bruteness. There's an entailment in the belief of brute facts and then possibly go global bruteness, right? Unless you want to say the possibility, like the bare
I'm
possibility of
saying that the possibility of global bruteness. I'm saying the possibility of global bruteness implies the actuality of global skepticism. That's what I'm saying. And so in
why
this
would
case, like
that
global
be?
skepticism is false
Why would that be?
because just like basic arguments from causes specifying their effects, right? Like obviously you're familiar with like the principle, not really the principle, but the idea is that if you have like a cause, then like supposedly there is something about the cause which specifies the effect, right? So like plausibly, if I have like a bunch of gears, right? I'm not going to say that the gears are a cause of a universe which has unicorns dancing around in it. Plausibly, like it seems to be an intuitive principle.
Well, okay, so they could just say something like I could imagine them saying something like, there's just some far off possible world in which, all things are brute, but that doesn't mean that, that doesn't mean that necessarily. Maybe
Yeah, what,
what
bro?
the fuck was that? But
But we're
So
talking about
ugly ass
facts
yeah,
in
so
the
fucking
maybe
actual.
mad.
maybe we're talking past each. Maybe we're talking past each other. So I just take like my account of causation. I just take some probability understanding of causation. Maybe you take some stronger account on which this would be the case.
Yeah, I take like an Aristotelian account. So I take
Oh, okay. So
causal
would
relations
you
to
agree there's
be
no
determinate.
problem? Would you agree there's no problem on a probability racing account?
What did you say? I didn't hear what you said.
Would you agree? Would you agree there's no problem on probability racing account?
Ability raising account of causation. Um, well, it depends like what you mean by what you're saying.
X causes F just in case X drastically raises the probability of F occurring.
Um, I think I take issue with that account.
Well, yeah, maybe you take issue with the account, but you agree on the account there's no problem.
On the account, there's no problem with the thing about global bruteness. This global
Yeah,
skepticism.
because presumably it's like presumably
I
they
mean, I
could just
still take
say,
them to be a problem because
wait,
still take that to be
okay,
a problem because
what's the problem?
problem specifically be that since we're talking about facts in the actual world, and if you take to the case that there is a fact in the actual world which is brute, so it has no explanation, it has no causal explanation, and we also like factor in the intuitive principle of causes specifying their effects, there is no reason supposedly why that brute fact obtains. Like, let's say the brute fact is the universe existing, right? There is no reason why the universe existing obtains over a universe of dancing gay animals or dancing gay unicorns, right? And like there's nothing to specify that being the case. However, if you do posit that there's a cause of the universe, right, we have something to actually specify and determine that the universe would be the effect of the cause.
Well, I don't see
Okay.
why you
So
couldn't
like,
just use priors for that.
Yeah, but again, I don't see
okay,
how this is a
now I'm getting
problem.
tag team. Look, they're trying to stick it in both holes right now. They're trying to stick it in both holes. Like,
I just don't see
run
how.
out of time.
Maybe it's just me, but I don't see how this is a problem on the view. Like okay, so on the view, they would say like I'm talking specifically about the global bruteness thing. Like I'm talking specifically about the entailment that if something is brute, then all things are brute, possibly. Right? Well, they can agree if some things are brute, then all things are brute, then all things are brute, possibly. Right? And then the second horn is well, if all things are brute, possibly, then all things are brute. Well, they can just disagree with that in virtue of saying like, they can just disagree with that in virtue of saying like, oh well, they just understand causation to be this like probability raising thing. So there's like a possibility, irregardless, that a cause, whenever it happens, doesn't make its effect or it has some different effect or something. Like they could understand it in like that way or something. And then I don't understand how, on their view, it's
Yeah,
entailed
but to
that.
have a different cause is different from having like a null cause, right? So like if I say
Did
if
you
I
see
say
what
that
I
like
said?
a fact, yeah, I heard what you said. Hmm.
Repeat it, because I don't think you heard it.
If they take a probability raising
Damn.
account, then they could, if they take a probability raising account, then they could always acknowledge the possibility of an effect having a different cause.
No, that's not what I said.
Okay, what did you say?
So I said on the probability raising account, um, they can acknowledge the possibility of a cause having a different effect, as in a cause doing something different, right? And they can also acknowledge, maybe say that the effect, like some effect comes
I'm
out.
not talking about causes having different effects. I'm
Yeah,
talking about
calm
effects
down,
having
calm
different
down,
causes.
calm down, calm down. They could also acknowledge maybe an effect. Um, this is another thing. This is me saying it now, but they could also acknowledge an effect um, being caused by some, kind of unnatural. Well, not really unnatural, but irregular cause. Right, like the
Yeah.
reason why I drink water was due to some random irregular cause. Right, but the thing is, on their view, there's no necessary relation between a cause and its effect right? And so, presumably, on some other views, they'd like to say something like, the effect happens just in case the cause happens, right, or something like that. But like on the probability raising view, well, that's just isn't true. Like they don't understand that an effect happens just in case a cause happens, and given they don't understand it like that, um,
But we're not saying that the effect happens just in case the cause happens. We're just saying that it's
well, at
like
least for
we're
some of
just
them, too.
saying normally. No, we're just saying no. Like the cause or a fact about the cause will specify the effect or a fact about the effect. It's like, and if you say that a specific fact has no cause, and the fact obtains over another fact, it's unclear what makes it such that that fact obtains over another fact if there is nothing, if there is no causally antecedent conditions that make it such that that fact obtains over another fact.
Do you agree that there's at least some causes, or at least some effects, that happen just in case their cause happens? At least some of them.
Yeah.
Presumably, the universe being one of them.
Universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so you can understand it like, um, maybe like say we're taking some like random person that believes that the universe likely does have a first cause, right? But they think it's also necessary that the universe, it's also possible, sorry, that the universe is uncaused, right? And given it's possible that the universe is uncaused, it seems like, um, by what you think, it would be entailed that necessarily the universe is uncaused. But that's really odd, right? Um,
I mean,
and
that's
so
entailed from two views I have. Like,
well, yeah, but again, the entailment you're trying to go
that
for, like the
specific version of the universe.
yeah, but the problem is the entailment
I
you're
don't
trying to
have
go.
any problem with.
Yeah, Rizzhan, the thing we're disagreeing about is if something being brute entails that all things are brute. Well, given you think it's due to some background commitments you have, well, I'm fine with that, right? The person probably just disagrees with the background commitment. Like they disagree with the theory of causation, which is probably the one doing the heavy lifting.
But I'm just telling you that I don't think the theory of cause, like, if you accept the principle, like the plausible principle that like I laid out earlier, I think regardless of what theory of your causation you hold to, unless like an eliminativist about causation, then it's just an entailment of the principle which I laid out, which is that like if you have like an effect or if you have a fact, and like there's nothing to specify why that effect obtains over another fact, then there is no reason why that fact obtains over another fact. And then like I think an infinite regress of brute facts would be generated from simply the obtaining of that one brute fact, which is I think is problematic.
Okay, so so I'm just confused. Um, so you understand that causes pick out their effect, right? Um, or there's some like strong relation between a cause and its effect, right? And presumably that strong relation holds um, on some it holds on some like probabilist understanding of causation or whatever. Um, but presumably the probabilist would also engage, and they'd also concede, yeah, it's possible that this thing is uncaused, or it's possible, whatever, right? And then given
Yeah, but
that,
I take that to be a contradiction, given other considerations, not
it's a
just a
contradiction.
consideration about yeah.
What type of contradiction?
I take it to a logical contradiction because of commitments to origin essentialism. It's like I take origin essentialism to be true, and
Oh,
if it's the
that's
case
the
that
other problem.
like if you
Okay.
take it to the case that origin essentialism is true, then you also say this fact in world X is caused this fact, and then the same fact in world, let's say Y is uncaused. Well, that's a contradiction because if you hold to origin essentialism, if a fact is caused in one world, it's caused in all worlds, and vice versa if it's uncaused as well.
Yeah. Okay. So, like the disagreement is just that I'd assume whoever is saying stuff like this, like whoever's like denying a first cause or whatever, presumably they wouldn't have all these like background commitments about like origin essentialism and whatever. A lot of them, a lot of them are either like they're physicalists, um, in which they deny things like essences, or they're like naturalists and they just don't understand essences would ever be natural, right? Like, if the critique is like there's these other things that, given these other things truth, this fails. I mean that's fine, but I assumed you were making some internal critique on like, and I think the internal critique fails.
Now, I was just saying that like if you have a conjunction of the principle that I gave, then a conjunction that like the assumption that global skepticism is false, and then also an assumption that origin essentialism is true, or some form of essentialism about origins is true, then it would generate the conclusion that you'd never be able to have a situation in which you have an entity that is caused in one world and or uncaused in another, or uncaused in one world and caused in another. Meaning that if you have an entity that is uncaused, then in all worlds in which it obtains, it's uncaused.
But given like the usual commitments that a person who would accept brutes has, that doesn't like it doesn't work, right?
Yeah, but I don't even think that like probabilistic account of causation that you presented is one of the commitments that I mean is like a usual commitment. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think it's a usual commitment that somebody who is in brute facts would hold to. Like maybe it's a commitment of some of the people, but not like all. Like
It's a commitment of most naturalists, and the most people that people that I see um like run brute arguments, they tend to be naturalists.
um, I mean, I take like naturalism to be compatible with um a view that doesn't accommodate any brute facts, or at least any brute contingent facts, right? Like MRP just says like you can have like an initial state of reality, and the initial state of reality is like necessary uncaused, and like it gives rise to all other contingent states of reality, right? Um, like I think this does better work reconciling itself with the principle that I gave, which is like um the principle of causes specifying their effects, then just saying that like you have contingent facts which are brute. Um,
Yo, talk faster, gang.
Yeah, I mean,
okay, bro.
I'm sympathetic towards views that say that at least some part of the universe is necessary, or something that kind of kicked everything off is necessary.
But
Like,
for the probabilistic, what are you gonna say?
very good. It's very good. What's up?
Probabilistic account of causation, would they take like causation to be reflexive or irreflexive?
Sorry, what'd you say?
Would like a probabilistic, would somebody who like pose like um a probabilistic account of causation, would they take causation to be reflexive or irreflexive? 'Cause
I
that's
have no
if they take
clue.
causation, it's like if they take causation to be irreflexive, meaning that nothing can cause itself, and everything that um is caused by another. Whether you take another to be nothing or another to be like an actual positive entity, then I think that we'd still be able to get to the conclusion that a first or like an uncaused um cause exists.
Yeah, I have no clue what the probabilist would say. But yeah, I don't know. What's it called? How do you feel about like the positions? I don't know if you've ever seen it, like similar to Liam's or whatever, where they say some bullshit like, um, the universe is necessary, because the universe is eternal. And then the argument for the universe being eternal is like eternal means timeless. Time is a relational concept. Um, the
Deny that.
universe is all that there is. That bullshit.
I deny I deny relationalism about time. So like I'd either say that like I would either say like I'm an absolutist about time, or I deny that time exists. And then I'd also say that like I'd also hold to like an interpretation of classical or quantum mechanics where we say that, there are like relations or there are objects more fundamental than the universe. Um and then I also deny like the universe. I don't think the universe can be eternal in time in any meaningful sense. If you take the universe to be like a conjunction of space and time and energy and matter, and the same as saying time is time eternal. But it seems only objects located within time can be time eternal, not time itself. So like maybe he's equivocating there.
Yeah, well, they usually understand that. Okay, so at least the way that um that I've seen people like Rand and Liam explain it, they say something like, um the reason the universe is eternal, as in timeless, is just because, as I said, like time is a relational concept, and so there's nothing for the universe to relate to. Like there's nothing else because the universe is all that there is. Um, and so the universe is not in time. Time is in the
Time is in
universe.
the universe. I mean, to be fair, that is not even compatible with a theist view. Like, it's not even compatible with like very strong theist views. Like, maybe the universe is all that there is, and God is located within the universe, and God is like the cause of most things within the universe. And like, because he just seems that like he's defining the universe as reality. Like, no theist is gonna say that God is not inside of reality. It's like unless he like specifies that the universe is like this physical entity, like this spatial temporal entity, then like it doesn't get him any
Yeah.
further.
Well, I mean, Liam understands it to be spatiotemporal. Like I think the only thing that's non-physical that Liam like goes back and forth on accepting is the mind. He's like sometimes a dualist, sometimes not.
And then okay, so if he takes the universe to be spatial temporal, and like he takes the universe to be eternal in time, supposedly he means like past eternal. So like it has like an infinite amount of moments in the past. So I just gave like an argument against there being an infinite amount of moments in the past.
Well, usually, I don't think. I think he denies that. I think he denies that there's an infinite amount of moments in the past. I think he says that there's a finite amount of moments. It just like, but the problem is moments. Like they're not the type of thing that you would apply to the universe because it's timeless, right? And so what you would measure is the stuff that's happened inside of the universe. And given that, he would say that there's not been an infinite amount of moments.
Okay, so under his view, there's not been an infinite amount of moments.
Yeah.
But would you take like the universe to be like still infinite in the past direction? Like, would you just deny that it's infinite in the past direction?
Well, so the problem is he understands eternality to be timelessness, right? And so when he says the universe is timeless, um, that would also imply that saying that there's been past moments of the universe is confused, right? Because he
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
understand. Sorry, what's up?
Okay. So I think I understand what you're saying now, but if he does commit himself to that, that contradicts like an earlier view that he articulated, which would be like relationism about time. Because if he's a relationist about time, then he wouldn't be able to commit himself to the fact that he wouldn't be able to commit himself to the fact that um the universe is timeless and the universe also like is time. So like supposedly like the universe is spatial temporal. But the universe can't be spatial temporal and also be timeless, like in any sense.
Yeah, I don't know. He
So like
spoke
maybe he
really.
takes the contents of the universe to be spatial temporal, but if he takes the contents of the universe to be spatial temporal, and like you're a relationist about space time, you just said that the universe is just reducible down to its contents. And so to make any claim about the universe is just to make like a claim about maybe the conjunction, like the collection of the contents in the universe. And so like he'd also have to commit himself to the fact that collection of the things in the universe it's timeless, which is obviously false.
Well, he understands like he holds this weird view where the universe is like the set of all the things, and then there's like content within the set. Um, and that's the
Wait,
thing, like the
is he
content.
speaking set theoretically? Like, is he speaking set
Um,
theoretically, or only like
I have
go on?
no clue. I have no clue.
If if he's speaking set theoretically, then he runs into like a Russell's paradox.
Yeah, I
Because
don't know.
if he says that the universe is a thing and the universe is also a set of all things, then the universe would contain itself as a thing. But obviously, if he isn't talking set theoretically, then that's fine. But if he's not talking set theoretically, then supposedly he's talking about like mirror logically. Um, like I think that runs into the same problem. Like if you take the universe to be a collection of all like the things inside the universe, right? And then you also hold like strong part whole relations. Like you hold to the fact that like if parts have a qualitative property, then the set also has a qualitative property. And all the parts have the qualitative property of being in time, then it would also be the case that the universe would have the qualitative property of being in time. Um, I mean, his view just kind of seems contradictory. Unless like he takes one of the parts of the universe to not be in time, then that contradicts his earlier commitment, which is that the universe is spatio-temporal. Like, in what sense would the universe be spatio-temporal if not all of its contents were in time or in space? Is it just me or did everybody stop speaking?
Yeah.
Not
Are
just
we
Yeah,
me.
it
done?
is you, dude.
Awkward.
W Rizzhan.
It's like
No,
niggas
it's
be having like
Shizzan, nigga.
railings and shit, bro. It's crazy, bro.
Yeah, bro. It's like there's they be doing Ox Wars, bro. Talent shows there, bro. It's like pretty cool.
Do you have background
What
music?
is what is Ox like wars?
Ox
Like
like
is that
Bro,
like
Rizzhan,
Yo.
what happened between you and Prince, bro? I don't know what the fuck. Prince was saying like you lost him or some shit.
Yeah, Prince is gonna say that I lost to him. Like, it's quite, like, if you watch the recording, like, it's quite clear that I won. Like, he was just dramatic my argument.
No, I thought you won. I thought you won too. I was like, there's no way Prince would beat you, but like I don't know what the fuck happened.
Um, he begged the question like multiple times. Like, he basically said that like the fetus is identical to the human person. I was like, okay, why is that true? And he said, because there's biological continuity. And that obviously commits him to animalism. So I was like, okay, why is animalism true? And then he didn't give the argument for animalism being true. He just said animalism is true because the fetus is identical to the human person, which is just a restatement of one of the theses of animalism.
Holy shit. W question back, bro. What the fuck?
And then I was like, and then I gave like a very intuitive example where it seems like
Hey,
people
man.
value functional personhood of like personhood that's not functional. So like if you have a brain dead person, if you have like a fully functional human being, like I'm gonna be more inclined to save the fully functional human being over the brain dead person. He said, well, no, they're equally valuable. And I like, okay, if they're equally valuable, then I shouldn't be inclined. I shouldn't be heavily inclined to save one over the other. But like, it seems I have this heavy moral duty to save one over the other. So.